Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to M-Class Podcasts.
Oh my god, we're back. It's only been a week.
We're back, baby, after the longest hiatus of our career.
Wait, what did we do? What did we take a hiatus for?
Because we were on just a week ago. It's what it's called being facetious for comedy's sake, Josh.
Oh, I get it. He's right.
You got it. Fuck, it's so funny, Jeff. By the way, I'm Jeff.
Hi, I'm Josh.
We're two guys who love Star Trek so much that we thought anybody would ever give a shit what we had to say about it.
Yeah, we just talk about Star Trek because that's the thing that fills the hole in our lives.
Yeah, we're two massive fans of Star Trek and also Alien Anatomy.
Yeah.
So there was only one type of podcast we could possibly make.
It's this one. We talk about wieners and plot points and very philosophical things.
It's a very weird podcast. Hopefully you like it.
Yeah, it is weird, but, we're not going anywhere, so you might as well just stick around.
We're going to do this podcast until one or both of us dies. So
Might be me, and it might be this episode.
Josh is a little under the weather, so am I, actually.
Yeah, we're sick. Both of us are kind of sick. It's great. Being sick rules.
I was helping, probably no one, but making myself feel better by going to the Women's March, and it was like pouring the rain, and I didn't have an umbrella. So I just stood in the rain for 3 hours.
Who does? Who has an umbrella? I don't own an umbrella.
We have 3. It just wasn't raining when we left, and it didn't say it was going to.
That's why we should all be like old English guys and just carry around canes and umbrellas, because you never know.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
That'd be cool, right?
Instead, I'm sick as fuck. Thanks, America.
You William Henry Harrison to yourself. You're gonna get pneumonia and die.
Thanks, Josh.
You don't die from pneumonia unless you're old.
Well,
I mean old, like old.
Is it how old you are on the outside or on the inside? Because I'm rotting away underneath this skin.
This is gonna be a really good episode. I can already tell.
The thing is, this is part 2 of Rich Master's Past Lives collection. Mm-hmm. And I've been waiting since we started doing M-Class Podcast to get to this episode.
It only took us 45 episodes.
It only took us 45. Jesus, I don't know why it took us so long. I guess I'm still nervous about doing this episode because I don't know if I'm going to give it the type of performance that it deserves.
Yeah, we're not going to do it justice. Because, I don't even know what to fucking say about this episode, right? Like, it's so good. To
me, it is the best episode of Star Trek. It's my favorite. I'll put it that way. I don't know if it's the best, but it's up there, and it's my favorite. It's TNG Season 5, Episode 25, The Inner Light.
Yes.
Unbelievably great episode of Star Trek.
It's probably one of the best eearsodes of any television show ever made. Like, I don't think that's too much of a leap.
No, not at all. Like, I was talking earlier that, like, there is no other sci-fi that I could think of that would take this type of a concept and completely turn it and make something so unbelievably heartfelt and emotional. Like, there's a part at the end of this episode that, like, always makes me tear up a little bit. Like, I'm a grown-ass man. You're not supposed to even tell people when you tear up a little bit, right?
It's the 90s. You can tell people now. No, this episode is haunting, I would say.
Yeah.
It's
a quiet episode as well. Like, there's no huge turmoil in the episode. It's very much about people and emotions and experiences. And there's also, as in every Star Trek, there is a philosophical and moral imperative that connects directly back to the real world. And
this is
much more poignant now than it was when it was written, even.
Yeah, which is like shocker, right? I think the theme of our podcast is like, hey, look, this means more now.
Yeah, Star
that's
Trek
like really
means more now than it ever did.
Yeah, that really is like the theme.
Like this episode has a very heavy climate change theme and like climate change denial.
Yeah.
It's not heavy, actually. I wouldn't say it's heavy at all. It's very, like, interwoven within a much heavier narrative. That it's just sort of the backdrop.
You get the gist of how fucked up things are by only, like, a couple interactions, like, which is, like, perfect sci-fi. Like, that's art. That's artistically done sci-fi. You don't need, like, a whole planet exploding to see, like, oh, look how bad it is. It's just one little thing, and you're like, oh, that's fucked up.
Josh here fucking calling out Siegel and Schuster. You didn't need to have Krypton explode, motherfuckers.
I was more thinking of the other guy who does it. I was more thinking of him.
I was thinking about every time I watch The Inner Light, a new like connection opens up in my brain, and I become smarter.
Yeah,
and
which is hard for you.
Oh, Josh, you know just how to tickle the gray matter.
Your dick isn't gray.
Anyway, I was thinking about Krypton in this episode because Catan, I think it's Catan.
Catan, sure.
Yeah, Catan.
It's where Chris Catan comes from.
He's the final Catanian.
He's the Superman of this planet. Holy fuck, what a shitty planet.
Oh, man.
What an unfunny, shitty planet.
Fuck you, Chris Catan. What have you done?
Fuck him. Fuck Chris Catan. I'll fight him. Where are you?
I couldn't imagine what ditch Chris Catan is in right now.
You mean his home?
Oh. But I was thinking about Krypton, that, like, the funny thing about Krypton is, like, it's a climate change thing. Like, their planet was gonna fucking explode, and it could have been prevented if anyone would have fucking listened to Jor-El, but they refused, and the planet exploded.
Yeah. Also, Brainiac did it.
Well, that's just in the cartoon.
That's later.
That's just in the cartoon. I think that's in the comics now, too. But
I think
originally it was just, like, the planet's core was, like, going supernova or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was very unscientific.
They didn't really know about stuff in the 30s, so they were like, the planet's gonna blow up.
The planet's blowing up! And they were like, Jor-El, you're fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's there's always the, don't listen to the guy, right?
Don't
like,
listen to the
scientists. The warning. Yeah. Don't listen to scientists. They don't know anything, right?
Yeah, what the fuck do they know? I don't know shit about science. I'm smarter than them.
Yep.
I'm smarter than some stupid scientist.
Don't tell me things I don't want to hear. Ooh, I ought
So that's the world we live in.
Also in this world too, in this show.
I think we could just go ahead and jump into it since we've. Well, actually, I wanted to point out that the story is written by Morgan Gendel.
Okay, Grendel from
Beowulf.
Beowulf. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, you got it.
He wrote 3 other episodes of Star Trek. None of which jump out at me as being ones I particularly remember, which is wild, considering he wrote The Inner Light.
Well, he hit a grand slam, and then he was like, I'm taking the next 2 off.
I guess. He fucking walked it in the next couple
What are the
times.
other ones? What other ones did he do?
TNG Starship Mine.
What the fuck is that?
On an evacuated USS Enterprise D, Picard plays a deadly game of cat and mouse with terrorists. Oh, it's the one
that one's alright.
That's a pretty good episode.
That one's cool.
Didn't stand out, though, is one I remember. Deep Space Nine, The Passenger from Season 1.
Well, that's probably not very good.
An alien criminal attempting to prolong his life hides his consciousness inside the mind of a station crew member.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of weird ones like
I don't even remember that one. And
I think I skipped that
Game
one.
in Season 2.
Armageddon Game. Who named that?
Oh,
that's a terrible name.
This is a good one. It's O'Brien and Bashir helped to rid 2 races of their biological weapons. However, both governments want to ensure no technical knowledge of the weapons can survive.
Oh yeah.
It's like
I remember
O'Brien
that
and
one.
Bashir end up at like each other's throats on this planet.
Yeah, they get mad at each other.
I think that's that one. Anyway, so he's written some good ones, but nothing like The Inner Light.
No, the Inner Light stands on the shoulders of giants, though. I have some factoids here.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so the Inner Light is like a classic example of a trope. I don't know the name of the trope, but the name of the story it comes from is Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
Oh yeah.
It's a story by Ambrose Bierce. I've never read it. It's a short story. So I guess like I've never read it, but it's like it happens a lot in. There's a couple examples here.
There's an episode of The Twilight Zone that's based on it. Like a guy is sentenced to death by hanging, and when he's being hung, like the rope breaks and he runs away and escapes and like lives out a life. But at the end of the story, spoilers.
He's dead. Yeah.
It turns out he's been hanging the whole time, and this has been his last memories flashing in front of his face.
It's all about like time dilating, right? Like in a time seems to be different for the person than it is in the real world. It's really cool. It's used a lot. Mike used to talk about it all the time. It's like one of his favorite things.
I do love it. I love the life. The life also lived, like the path divergent.
Yeah, like it branches off, right? Like, and this episode does it so well.
The thing is, like, a lot of times, because this is a trope that's been used in sci-fi before, like, you wake up in a different life. Yeah. And usually what happens is, like, what Picard does at the beginning, where he's like, I don't belong here, I have to get out of here.
Right.
But that's just all it is.
Right,
it's like almost always like a horror type story.
Right, it's terrifying, like it's hell, right?
Yeah, but this takes it and flips it like 180 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's like he lives this like beautiful life that's always gonna be with him forever.
Yeah, it fucks with your brain, dude. It really fucks with your brain.
It makes you wonder, like, what's the difference between those two lives?
What's reality, right? Like, what's real?
This episode was directed by Peter Lauritsen, who was involved throughout TNG all the way to Enterprise in one way or another as a director, or producer, or just working on the show.
Yeah, his name is very familiar.
He was the second unit director on both Star Trek First Contact and Insurrection.
So one good, one bad.
He directed an episode of Voyager called Lineage, so I don't give a fuck what that was about.
Another bad one, probably.
He directed The Inner Light and Gambit Part 1 from TNG.
Okay. That's the one where Gambit from the X-Men shows up, right?
No, it's the one where Picard has apparently been killed and Riker is captured by pirates.
Oh, it's the one with the lady who plays the piano.
Yeah, I think so.
I think she has that ship.
It's the one where there's a Captain Data, acting Captain Data.
Oh, Captain Data?
I love that.
How can a robot be a captain?
That's what his fucking first officer said.
How can a robot be a captain? That's a very good song.
Somebody put like an 80s like airy like Air Supply music behind that shit.
Yeah, I would do it, but I'm not going to. I know myself.
Yeah, fuck that.
I'm not going to remember what time it happened at. 14 minutes in. Get real.
Get 14 minutes? I'll never remember that. Get real.
Get real. It's not even a real number.
That's not a real number. Alright, so let's start at the beginning of this episode.
Oh, God. It's like, I don't know how we're going to talk about this. I don't know how we're going to do it.
I don't know. The thing is, I'll front load it again. We've already said this is an amazing episode. My favorite episode of Star Trek, period.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's up there for Josh.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's between this, Darmok, and there's a couple that I'd like personally, but like I would say this is probably the best episode of any Star Trek ever. Like, it has to be.
Like, if this would have been like a feature-length film, it would have won all the awards.
Yeah. Oh my God. All the awards.
Give them all the awards.
Give it to him.
I don't know why I keep going into that voice.
It's a fun voice.
It's like peak Star Trek. Peak Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
Nobody else is in the fucking episode mostly.
Everything that happens is like a character building experiment for Picard, right? Where like you kind of like after this episode, it like makes Picard like better. I don't know how to explain that. Like, you know how hard that is to do in a character? Like, do you know how hard it is to make a character as legendary as Captain... I mean, this is season 5, so, like, he's already, like, great, right? But then after this, it's like, he's just this... He's like Gandalf. Like, he lived this life. He's just this, like, paragon of humanity because he's been through these, like, crazy experiences.
And you see that flute in the background sometimes, and it just reminds you.
He plays it sometimes. He plays it in that one episode where he's practicing, like, he's making his own music, right? And everyone keeps interrupting him. It's in the beginning of...
Yeah. It's just, this episode doesn't get touched on a whole lot, like, heavily in other episodes. Like, it's not like when the Borg captured him. I kind of wish it was, where it got brought up more often.
Well, it kind of does. It gets brought up subtly because, like, it affects him so deeply. But, like, he doesn't really... He's not going to talk about it. And it's a very personal experience because it only happened to him, right? Where the Borg happened to him, but also the whole world saw it, right? Like,
That's
that
true.
was like a...
The thing is, something that I was thinking about is, like, to jump ahead for 1 second. At the end of the episode, Riker gives him this look right before he leaves his quarters that's very knowing. And I was like, I wonder how much he told Riker about all of this. And then I realized, if he didn't tell everyone everything that happened, then the whole probe was, like, pointless.
Right. I think don't they take the probe, though? Don't they, like, capture it?
They do, but it's like everything in it's shut down.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna, like experiment with it. Maybe they can, like, retrieve some of it. There's gotta be, like, a computer on it or something, right? Like...
Maybe.
How
I'm
would
sure
that work?
Picard, like, did, like, a full report and, like, sent it in and everything, and they did whatever with the information afterwards.
Starfleet's pretty clever. They could probably, like, get the thing back. It's got to be, like, some kind of, like, disk or, like, some kind of information, right? Like, because how would they store... I mean, it's, like, super
it shoots
fucking...
a beam into your brain. I don't know.
It's like a laser disc player in space.
They probably, like, put the like, destroyed machinery, because they say it's self-terminating.
Yeah.
They probably put that in, like, a museum along with, like, Picard's written account.
Yeah, maybe.
And to teach about the planet and everything. They probably had, like, a big exhibit about it.
You would think. I
So
mean,
it's not
like
forgotten.
the only thing.
There's still
left.
space archaeology. What about the Kurlanesker?
Spaceology?
You can't just put space in front of all ologies, Josh.
Space, yeah, I space and can, you spacehead.
You fucking spacist.
I'm not spacist.
You're a big ol' spacist. I heard you talking about fucking Vulcans earlier.
I was just talking about one Vulcan earlier.
Spacist.
And his name may or may not be Tapan.
Josh hates Tapan.
He's annoying.
I love him.
I'm just good cop, bad cop, and Tapan here. I actually do love the Tapan, too.
That's what he's telling him anyway while he's on the air.
No, I like Tapan.
He has a girl's name. I guess that's fine. It's the future. Everybody's cool with it.
T's feminine in Vulcan.
Yeah.
P tends to be more male.
P is also feminine.
Oh,
like,
really?
having any letter and an apostrophe is a
It's
feminine
feminine.
name. Having, like, a name
Like one syllable.
that's one syllable is, like, or 2 syllables is male.
Valar, Spock,
Tuvok, Sarek.
Tuvok. Yeah.
We haven't talked about the Inner Light yet, but we will as soon as we come back from these messages.
A mystery of unknown origin
Riker to sickbay. The captain's hurt.
traps Picard in another world. My prisoner here.
And another man's soul.
This is not my life.
Destined to spend eternity on a doomed planet.
You simply cannot let this civilization die.
Until fate
Cayman?
strikes a fatal blow.
The captain is under attack.
I'm losing him.
On Star Trek, The Next Generation.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
We didn't talk about The Hobbit for a half an hour in between.
Why didn't you tell them?
They need to know that we have more fantasy lore than just Star Trek.
It's true. We also love other thing.
Insert your favorite thing. We love that
it.
too.
Okay, so let's hop right into the episode.
Yeah.
The Enterprise finds a weird piece of metal in space that just starts following them.
Which happens in space. No, it doesn't. But it does.
They're very concerned.
I would be weirded out too, because I'd be like, man, the last time this thing happened, it turned into a Nagilum.
No one on the ship tries to remember Nagilum. They're all trying to forget that dude.
There's like some ensign in 10 Forward like, man, I hope this isn't a fucking Nagilum.
And everybody's like, shut the fuck up.
Shut up,
We all
shut
agreed never to talk about that again.
Yeah, we're not talking about Nagilum. Stop.
We're done. We're done talking about Nagilum.
No more Nagilum.
But like Worf wants to blow it out of the sky, as Worf does.
Of course he does.
But it shoots out a beam eventually. Like, it's following them for quite a while, matching their speed and their course, and eventually it shoots out, like, a very hard-to-detect nucleonic beam.
Nucleonic beam, which means something.
It means something to somebody, but not me.
I don't know. I guess it's like it can interact with, like, your cells, right? The nucleus of nucleonic. I don't know.
Maybe. That's using the root word, buddy. Good job.
I mean, it's made up bullshit, but I'm gonna make it be that now.
Picard passes out as soon as they're like, oh, it's penetrating the shields, and Picard's like, penetration? Oh.
He's like, oh god, it's not a Nagilum, and he passes out.
I feel bad making jokes about this fucking perfect episode, but anyway.
That's what we do. We ruin everything.
We ruin your favorite thing. Tune in every Wednesday. But they called down to medbay and they're like, get up here, the captain's passed out.
Yeah, he passed out from all this, I don't know, there's a nucleonic beam.
We don't know what the fuck's happening, but we need help.
Yeah.
Picard wakes up on a sofa wearing beige. And
yeah, he wakes up
like,
in
he's like, where am I? And this lady's like, Cayman, what's wrong? Cayman.
Oh, Cayman.
Cayman, are you alright? And he's like, where am I? Actually, the first thing, he doesn't even say anything to her.
Yeah, he says computer end program.
Computer end program. Computer shut down.
Which is so smart. Like,
Yeah.
that's so smart.
That's where I would go first if I was smart.
Yeah.
But she's like, what is wrong with you? Is your fever acting up? Which is a great way to, like, put him off immediately. Like, is there something wrong with me?
Right. Oh, man, it's so good. Oh, it's so smart. Everything about it is so smart.
It's so well structured, and, like, every beat makes perfect sense from the last one. It's called good writing. Look it up, JJ!
It's a thing that used to happen every now and then.
Look it up, Alex Kurtzman.
Blurtzman.
Oh, got him.
Nice.
Fucking high five.
So, like, as a Star Trek fan, you're first. Like, you high-fived yourself. like you got, like, I mean, I got it. We did high-five.
We actually high-five. Shut the fuck up, Josh.
Sorry. But I like, as, like, a Star Trek fan, your first thought is, like, what's this lady up to?
Yeah, what is she doing? Trying to trick my friend Picard.
I know I'm watching Star Trek. I know what this is. What's up? You know?
And he's like, where's the Enterprise? And she's like, I don't know what that is.
That's a made-up word. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. And she's like, please rest. You've been, the fever's taken you for several days.
Yeah.
You've been bedridden for several days. And he's like, no, I have to leave. He gets up and goes outside and he meets, the guy from Office Space.
Everything. He's from every goddamn
He's
thing.
the guy from Office Space who's like,
Jump to conclusions, Matt.
Jump to conclusions. He's like, I have to talk to the goddamn customers.
I'm needed here.
Look, without me, you're going to have the coders talking to the goddamn customers. And they don't know what to talk about with them. They don't have people skills like me.
His name is Bataille.
Yeah, he's Bataille. And he's like, oh, my best friend, Cayman, who's my best friend. We've known each other forever. Cayman, I love you.
And then he says, Cayman, I hardly knew her.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna drink this soda.
Of note, Bataille is apparently supposed to be a lot older than he looks.
He's pretty old.
He looks like somewhere near the same age as Picard. This is a problem with Picard in the show, is that like he looks way older than he actually is.
Yeah.
So everyone he plays opposite of that's supposed to be the same age as him looks younger. And
he also has like this very wise like acting ability that makes you think he's like fucking, you know,
a million years old of wise.
Yeah, he's seen a million things. He's been everywhere, right?
But he's apparently supposed to be older, Bataille, because he talks about Elaine,
yeah.
Elaine, like Picard's wife, or Cayman's wife, being strong-willed even when she was a kid.
I always thought that was that they grew up together. That's what I always thought.
Bataille does die like 2 years after this.
Yeah, but I mean, look at him.
Are you insinuating that Bataille died perhaps of diabetes?
I don't know if Bataille's living the best life, is all I'm saying. I don't think he's exercising in the mountains.
There's a drought one. He could have died of that, but...
Yeah, the sun's going nova. Spoiler alert.
But, like, Cayman Picard is like, please, like, answer my questions. I'm fine. Because he sounds like a fucking crazy person, right? Could you imagine someone asking you these questions who you've been friends with your whole life?
If you did it, I would be like, Jeff's finally snapped. And I'd be really jealous because I'd be like, I wanted to be the one who went crazy.
Why does he get to do it first? It was supposed to be me.
It was me. It was supposed to be me.
But he's like, the woman you saw before is Elaine, your wife. You're in the community of Resek. And this is the planet Catan. And
home of Chris Catan.
Bringing that one back, huh? Thought that was good enough for a second go.
Yeah, we're going around. We're going around again with that one. That's what we're doing.
It's what you're doing. So Cayman, he says, I'm gonna walk around and try and like get my bearings. And he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, he doesn't know where he is. It's confusing. So he just like walks around for like hours.
Yeah, it's nighttime by the time he goes back to the place he started from, Elaine's house.
He's probably like looking for like the like holes in the holodeck or so, you know, like some like clue that maybe he's like dreaming or something. Maybe he cut himself to see if he bleeds.
Just to see if he's alive.
Yeah, just to feel alive again. You know, like how people do.
I think her name might be Elaine. Because I kept thinking it was Lee. The way he kept saying it.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, well, he says it weird because he's got a British accent.
Yeah, I think it's Elaine.
Elaine.
Yeah, and so he goes back to talk to her.
Come on, Elaine.
He's like, come on, Elaine. Just say
we live on Catan.
At this moment, I'm gonna play this flute.
That was good.
And she's like, oh, you're an iron weaver, the best in town, but you also love to play your flute, even though you fucking suck.
An iron weaver is like a blacksmith?
I guess. It's a space blacksmith.
A space blacksmith, huh?
And he's like, well, what do you use to talk to aliens like me, because I'm an alien? And
he's like, what? He's like, I want to make a call. And she's like, okay. And he's like, when can we do that? And she's like, tomorrow. And he's like, how do we do that? And she's like, phones.
Yeah, it's like audio something, but it basically just means
it's a phone. Yeah, it's just a telephone.
And he basically figures out that like they've never contacted anyone outside their own planet.
Yeah.
And Eileen's like, come to bed and do me. And he's like, what? I barely know her.
I just said that!
Dun 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 dun.
This dude is stealing my jokes!
If you like Jeff's original jokes that he made, hit that like and subscribe button.
If you hate Josh's jokes that he stole from Jeff, also hit the like and subscribe button.
But Picard does notice that she's wearing a necklace that is the exact same shape as the probe that he remembers from his previous life. And he's like, what is this? And she says, why, it's the first gift you ever gave me.
Interesting.
And we get a flash over to the Enterprise, which, is it the real world?
Who knows anymore? My whole view of Star Trek is shattered because I have no idea what's happening or where I am.
That happens in Deep Space Nine once as well.
Yeah, when they go to the Benny when he's writing, dude, that shit fucks me up.
That's like that comes back later, and you're still like, is Star Trek just this guy's writing, or
yeah, really, it's like Star Trek's, or it's like Deep Space Nine's The Inner Light, but like then like you're like, wait a minute, like
which one was real?
Yeah, are we watching the real one, or what's going on?
But Riker calls for sick base hell because Picard's like, he's not just out of it, he's straight up in a coma.
Yeah, he's comatose. And he's got like this weird boner going on, and they don't know what to do.
They keep pushing it down really hard, but it just keeps popping back up.
It just gets harder if you do that.
And they're like, oh god, we gotta hide this before Crusher gets here. He's gonna be really embarrassed.
Put a towel over his boner, and then it just makes like a boner tent. Like, it's really weird. I can't believe they left that in.
It was weird. It seemed like a blooper, because they kept calling him Patrick Stewart. They didn't call him Jean-Luc Picard.
They're like, Patrick.
Patrick's got a big boner. We gotta hide it.
Put your boner away. And he would just go, in a coma, I can't. I'm comatose.
Yeah, he'd go, he didn't say anything else. He went,
just giggle.
Got a boner.
Classic Picard.
Man, this is ruining this episode. But anyway, so I knew we would, so it's fine.
I mean, what are we gonna do? Just say how great it is the whole time? It's amazing.
Just suck its dick off.
Don't
ever do that again. So Crusher shows up with her crew, and they're like, man, Picard's like in a coma, but his brain is like off the scale. Like the neurotransmitters are just
firing. Yeah,
he's firing on all cylinders. Like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like, well, the probe seems to have locked on to Picard, and it's causing this. We don't know why or how, but we're gonna destroy the probe. And Crusher's like, if you destroy that, we don't know what the hell happened to Picard.
We don't know what to do with it. Like, it might later on. She's like, if someone gets stabbed, you don't necessarily pull the blade out, right? Like,
yeah, that could cause more damage on the way out. And Riker's like, I don't like it.
No sir, I don't like it.
My dad's hurt. I gotta help him.
I'm mad that my dad got hurt.
It's my real dad, because my actual dad fucking abandoned me when I was 13, so now Picard's my real dad, and I love it.
We're from Alaska. We don't know how to raise kids.
Wow, sorry to anyone from Alaska who's listening to this podcast.
There's like 3 people there. Nobody's listening to this.
Sorry to Sarah Palin's family that are listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Oh,
actually,
yeah,
I'm not sorry. Fuck you.
Yeah, the Palins. Yeah.
Anyway, when we go back to Catan, 5 years have passed.
Right, so time is like of no concern to us right now. It's just all over the place.
Kamen is like still obsessed with his old life, but it's like fading away. He even mentions that like he doesn't remember it like he used to. It's been 5 years and he's losing that life. And his wife straight up tells him, Eileen is like, I've been patient. It's been 5 years of this. Like, we were only married for 3 years before this all started.
Before you went crazy.
Like, I've been patient and I've been understanding, but I can't wait forever for our life together to start.
Right.
And she goes inside and he's like, wow, what a bitch.
Yeah,
I'm a misogynist on this planet.
He gets really sad.
Yeah, because he says it straight up, like, to him, his life as the starship captain is just as real as the life that he has here, and like, she can't expect him to just throw that all away, and she's like, I do. I expect that.
Yeah, so he's been doing all kinds of crazy Captain Picard shit too, right? Like he's like making like laboratories and filling his days with like whatever the fuck, right?
He keeps disappearing for days at a time.
He just walks around
the area to figure out where he's at.
Yeah, it's got to be like a lot to deal with.
But Kamen and his best friend Batai go to talk to an administrator, which is apparently like, I don't know, like a governor.
Yeah, I guess like a mayor, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. He talks about like being in charge of other communities as well.
You kind of get the impression that like they're new at democracy. He's real political. He's real like a politician, right?
He's a shitty politician for sure.
Yeah, he
Although,
sucks.
There is a theory that I'll probably forget by the time we get to it, but like he tells Kamen later that like he's in charge of... Everybody's seen this fucking episode, so spoilers or whatever.
Right.
But he's in charge of... Or he's working on the probe that gets sent to space. And the probe turns Picard into Kamen, which means it was programmed that way.
Right.
So did the administrator, who seemed to not like Kamen, base the whole probe virtual reality world on Kamen's life?
Right.
Like, was it his decision? Because he's the only one that ever has any contact with Kamen.
Yeah, he could just be a construct too, like Vanilla Sky, right? Like
Maybe.
In Vanilla Sky, there's that guy who shows up, and he's like, "I'm tech support." Like he's just like a construct. Like
He doesn't really
you never
do anything
know
like that, though.
What's that?
He doesn't really do anything like that, though. I mean, he might not be like a real person. I feel like all of these people are real people, though.
Yeah, but I mean, with him, like he could just be like a part of the play. He could be a character. Like that's the crazy thing
That's
about
true.
all
I
this.
mean, like this was designed to be this way. Like,
yeah.
That person might not have ever even existed, and if he did, he might not have had anything to do with the making of that probe.
Yeah, he could have been just a a means to an end in the story, just like he's a means to an end in the show story, right? Like it's like a mirror facing a mirror at this point. Like it's so like crazy, like infinite, like it could just go on forever. Like he could be like he could have been a real governor, like you said, and they were just like, well, when they're writing like the story of the program for the probe, they could be like, well, we need somebody to get Kamen to like fall in line, and that guy needs to be powerful, so we'll just use this guy, right? Like it's crazy. Like who knows who knows
what happened behind the scenes at all, but like given the view from which we see this play,
right,
if we're to believe that all these people are real people and that Kamen was a real person, which there is a terrible follow-up to this in written form, where it turns out Kamen was a real person.
He wasn't, or was?
He was.
Yeah, I would say that he was. I mean, you kind of are left to believe that he was.
Yeah, the follow-up, that's not why the follow-up is terrible. Like, I'll get into that later. I don't want to ruin this right now.
Okay.
But, from our point of view of what we're to understand, like, all signs seem to point to the administrator having chosen Kamen's life.
Right.
As the virtual life. But again, like you said, could be anything. Who knows how it was actually made?
I always thought that we're kind of getting ahead here, but I always thought that at the point when the administrator confesses to Kamen, like, look, we knew this was happening. Like, we knew that the sun was dying and it was killing the planet. At that point, like, Kamen gets brought in on the project in my head, and Kamen was real. Like, he was a real guy. And then he becomes like a very important part of the project, like going forward, and like they use his story. Like that's what I always thought was the thing.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, that makes perfect sense for why Kamen's story is the one that's chosen. Because I mean, he's the guy who settles down with a wife and has children, and they have children, and he has the most to lose by the planet.
Yeah, it's just tragic,
destroyed.
like all the way around. It's just so tragic, right?
Back in the point of the story where we're supposed to be at, Kamen and his best friend Batai go to talk to the visiting administrator,
Yeah.
And the administrator is like, we don't need any doomsaying about this drought. It's just a drought. Even though it's been going on for 5 years at this point. Easy.
Yeah. So they have like a tree, right? And they like water the tree.
Yeah, it's like a symbol of hope. And like you see that it deteriorates through the next few time jumps.
It's bad.
But he comes up with this like very good idea to start building atmospheric condensers to get water out of the air.
Like Tatooine.
Yeah, fucking moisture farming.
Moisture evaporators. Yeah.
And the administrator.
They need a droid that can speak Bocce, though. Where did your droid learn how to speak?
The administrator's like, we're not doing that because it's too good, and I don't want you fucking overshadowing me, because that's really what it is.
It's a really good idea, and I'm the guy.
And Cayman's like, there's not going to be any atmospheric condensers. Nothing's going to change. But Batai's like happy. He's like, this is the first time that you've spoken like you belong here in years. It's great to have you back. And there's a great scene where Batai and Cayman are just like chilling on the porch.
I love this scene. It's so real. It's like the most real ass shit. Yeah.
Like Batai's having a drink and Cayman's just playing Frere Jacques on his flute.
Yeah, Batai's probably like, what the fuck is that song?
I've never heard this song before. What the
fucking
fuck is
Frere Jacques? What does that even mean? It's nonsense.
I love that Batai like dunks on him because he's like, he mentions his music and Batai goes, yeah, your music.
Yeah. That's good.
But Eline walks out and she's like, Batai, go home.
Yeah, which is like the most wife ass shit, right? Like, dude,
like, yes, ma'am. And he gets up and leaves.
We've all been there. I've definitely been at that point with people when I'm like, okay, I gotta leave now because like I'm getting that vibe, right? Where it's
I always
like
leave way earlier. Than
I try to.
So.
I try to too. Yeah.
But Eline and Cayman have like a conversation where he's like, you know what, you were right about everything. I have to start living my life and let go of the life that I can barely remember now.
Yeah.
And he says, I want your permission to build something. A nursery, because I'm on a fucks.
Yeah, well, she's like, you built your laboratory and your fuck dungeon and all this other shit. She's like, you don't need my permission. Yeah, your dildo room where he carves his like happy dildo faces. I don't know.
He makes his iron weaving dildos.
His iron dildos, yeah. And then he's like, well, I think I might need your permission for this one because like I gotta put my wiener inside of your space vagina.
You need consent for that, kids. That's a good lesson for the kids at home.
It's consent.
And they
starts with a C.
Which starts with a K.
Which means that they fucked in TV language.
Yeah,
they're gonna fuck.
They had butts. They touched butts until a baby came out.
They rubbed each other's butts together, and then a baby. That's how you make a baby.
Also, what I just said, Josh.
Also, you put your nipples together.
Ew. Josh is getting gross and graphic on the show.
I mean, you kind of do that if you're doing that one position.
The nipple to nipple position?
Nipple to nipple, yeah, that's what it's called.
That's what they yell at the end of Requiem for a Dream.
Nipple to, it's too many syllables. It doesn't work.
So they kiss, and then we get a shot back on the Enterprise, which, is it real?
I don't know, man. I don't know what's real anymore, man.
And Geordi's like, hey, I sent a probe out to follow their probe because fuck that probe. My probe's better.
We got better probes, bitch.
And Data's like, using that probe, I've figured out a way to disrupt the beam, which will cut its connection with Picard. And again, Crusher is like, we don't know what that's going to do.
Yeah, that's when she says the thing about the knife. She's like, I don't think this is
not a great idea. And Riker's like, I want my dad back.
Mm-hmm.
I miss him. We're going to play ball in the holosuite. Do you think Riker and Picard ever played ball in the holosuites?
I kind of think they don't. And I always think that they don't, like, hang out because that's how they work, right? Like they like each other and like they like really kind of love each other in a way, but like sometimes like when
Picard doesn't hang out with anybody besides
he's not chilling, like he's not hanging out with anyone. He's the captain, right? Like
he has that rule against fraternizing with his crew that he finally breaks at the end of the series.
Yeah, which is like crazy.
Speaking of crazy, how about we visit our crazy sponsors for the episode?
Oh, fuck yeah. I love getting their money.
And we'll be right back after this message. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with more M-Class.
We're back for the greatest episode of both this show and of Star Trek.
God, I hope this is a good M-Class. I guess we'll find out.
I think it's going well.
Well, everything we do is always perfect, so...
That's true. If I had to give it a modest grade, I would give it a 102% out of 100.
We get the extra 2% because we're handsome.
It's like a crit bonus.
And the world favors good-looking people. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Gotta get used to it.
We're handsome and really smart, that's where it's like 1% for handsome, 1% for smart.
They're definitely
Cumulatively.
not equal in the real world. You wouldn't get 1% for both.
No, being smart in the real world is like a detriment, to be honest with you.
People hate you for being smart. How dare you be smarter than me?
They get mad at you, and then they think it's your fault and shit that they feel bad.
How dare you be smarter than me? I'm the main character of Earth.
Yeah, I'm the story. The story's about me, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, the next time we join Picard on Catan, it's another few years later. And
He's old.
Cayman and Elaine,
Sure.
is
Elaine.
in the middle of, they're in the middle of a naming ceremony for their second child, which is like a bris.
Yeah,
Or
like a baptism.
And they named the kid Bataille after their diabetic friend who passed away a year ago.
He jumped to too many conclusions. He tried to commit suicide in his garage, but then his wife came in and was like, "What's wrong?" And he was like, "Nothing. I just couldn't get the car." And then he pulled out of his driveway and got hit by a car.
They definitely have cars on Catan. You just don't see them.
Yeah, they just walk everywhere because who knows? I guess.
Right after the ceremony begins, though, back on the Enterprise, they cut the connection with the probe that's causing the hallucination, or is it?
Sure.
And Cayman collapses inside the world. And Crusher is like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Here's fucking this medicine. Here's this medicine. She becomes Dr. Mario. She just starts shoving pills down this dude's throat.
I need 3 red and blues!
But she's like, get that connection back, Data. Get it back now. And he's like, I'm trying. And he does. And
he got
Picard's
it back.
fine. And we don't even get to see Picard waking up as Cayman. It just fucking 10 years later on Catan.
Yeah, it's another jump. It's so goddamn good. Holy fuck, it's so good.
They cut out like all the unnecessary parts for the story progression.
Yeah.
You learn everything that happened in between the cuts through nothing but context clues.
Right, interaction with the character, right.
You.
Yeah, it's like it was written well.
And
it's like it works.
So Cayman's hanging out with his daughter Maribor, who's like an adult now.
Mara boring.
Uh-oh.
You know who she looks like?
Dead and her whole planet's gone.
Yeah, well, you know. She looks like Sonya Blade from the Mortal Kombat movie, who's Veronica Vaughn in Billy Madison.
I don't...
I mean, she's like her sister, maybe. They look similar.
Sure.
Look, all blonde people look the same.
Whoa, that's fine.
Yeah.
But Maribor's like, yo, the soil's dead.
Yeah, she's like a scientist too, right?
Yeah,
like
she followed in his footsteps, because, I mean, like, Kamen was not a scientist, but obviously Picard is.
Right. This is where, like, it really starts fucking with you. Was Kamen a science? Like, is that happenstance? Is it coincidence that Picard also is like science? I mean, everyone in Starfleet kind of likes science, right?
It does make you wonder, though.
It does.
Was it happenstance or not?
Right. Does the probe adapt to the personality of the person it's probing? You know what I mean?
It already seems like it's too high tech for what it was.
Yeah, well, like, they sort of throw all their eggs in this basket, right? Like, this is, like, the one thing they're really good at. Like, maybe, like civilization, like, on every planet evolves differently. Maybe they were just really good at nucleonic science or something. You know what I mean? Like, who knows?
But, like, Maribor says that the sun's radiation, because the whole galaxy is going to be destroyed. Like, the whole system is going to be destroyed by the sun going supernova.
System. It goes regular nova, not supernova.
It goes ultra nova.
Regular nova, just the bright, like, flashes happen and then the star dies.
It goes regular, super, ultra nova. But the radiation sterilized the dirt, so it can't even support life anymore.
Yeah, which is, like, a thing that happens. Like, that's what they think happened to Mars for some reason, because it doesn't have an atmosphere. Like, that would happen to Earth if we didn't have an ozone. Which, remember when we, like, almost didn't, and then we kind of fixed it. But
sorta.
Well, the ozone is fine, but the carbon monoxide and dioxide are the problem.
The greenhouse gases.
Yeah.
But that's gonna wipe out all the life on the planet, and, like, Kamen is kind of, like, he's depressed about the fact that, like, his daughter has to know all this stuff.
Yeah.
When she could do something, like, productive with her life, because there's nothing she can do to change
it's
the
hopeless,
science of what's happening.
They just don't have the technology to deal with it.
He talks about a guy who's in love with Maribor, and she's like, maybe I should marry him sooner rather than later. What do you think?
I like how he, like, says to her, he's like, I should have filled your head with trivial things like toys and dresses and stuff like that. I think that's, like, super, like, Picard, right?
Yeah.
Like, Picard wouldn't raise a daughter that would be into that shit. He's raising a scientist, you know?
That's what he would really do.
Yeah, he would do that. He wouldn't be like, here's a dress, you're a girl. Like, he wouldn't care about that shit, right?
There is an absolutely amazing line that's, like, just great advice in general, where he says, just, like, live for today.
Yeah.
Today is all that really matters. They might not be a tomorrow, and yesterday is gone.
Yeah.
And if you don't seize the time now, you'll never have it again, because there's only one now.
Yeah.
And that's something that we don't really think about very often. We're all worried about the next thing.
It's very zen. Focus on where you're at. Don't think about so much, like, all the shit you gotta do later, right?
Yeah,
like,
I wish
do one
I could
thing
do
at a
that.
time. Well, we're psychotic apes, so we're not really good at that stuff.
It's true.
We're always worried about surviving.
Back on the Enterprise, Geordi figures out that there's like a energy signature going from the probe all the way back to an unmapped system with a planet in it named Catan.
What?
The system contains no habitable planets because the star went super ultra nova 1,000 years ago.
Uh-oh.
SpaghettiOs.
So now we're getting to the bottom of it.
We're learning as an audience.
We're learning.
Even though Picard himself is not learning yet.
No, he doesn't know he's not. I love the end of this episode.
I do too. But, like, we get another flash forward, and Kamen is, like, super elderly now. Sidebar, how hilarious is it that, like, these heavily made-up old man versions of Kamen, and Patrick Stewart looks almost exactly the same at this age as he did then.
He looks great. Like, I know he's had, like, work done, right?
Yeah,
like,
everybody has, but...
Yeah. But, like, he looks great. Like,
I just find the, like, difference in the real version of old Jean-Luc Picard and this version so great.
Yeah. It's comic booky, right? Like, it's sort of like they're hitting it home. Like, look how old he is, right?
It's a little, like, Dick Tracy villain.
Yeah, like the prosthetics and shit.
Old face.
Shoe hands.
Pussycat puss.
Gun lips. He says guns for lips. This Dick Tracy character sucks.
Neon
Gun
noodle. I'm just naming fucking Duck Tracy, Great Piggy Bank Robbery, guys.
Duck Tracy.
Pickle puss.
Pickle puss.
But like he's an old man and he's using his telescope still, and his wife is like, I don't know why you and our daughter spend so much time staring at those stars. I've looked at them and I don't see what you see in them.
Yeah, it's sad, man.
Yeah.
That's such a depressing thought. And that's like, there's people walking around Earth right now who are just like, I don't even know what a star is because I'm an uneducated moron.
Yeah, who cares about the stars? They're
Right.
just dumb things in the sky.
It's only just everything. It's just the entirety of existence.
It's what
just out
everything
there.
is made out of.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But my Starbucks is important.
But his wife is like, I think you need to speak with your son. He may have chosen what he wants to do, because like Kamen is very old manish about the fact that his son hasn't figured out what he wants to do yet with his life.
Yeah, which is also super Picard, right?
Yes.
Like Picard loves his daughter, like the firstborn. It's so like him. And then his son comes along and his son's real flighty and he's kind of like a slack off
Which
and he
is
doesn't know
very
what he
much
wants to
not
do.
Picard.
Right. It's like where did this guy come from? Where'd this kid come from, right? Like it's so good. It's perfect. It's everything about this is perfect.
But he comes out and he's like, I'm gonna drop out of school. And
Yeah.
Kamen's like, what?
Oh, son of mine! Yeah, he kind of gets a little mad about it.
But he's like, hey, I'm gonna focus on my music, because all I care about is my music and I love it.
Yeah, I want to be a flute man like you.
And Kamen's like, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, he's like, whatever.
We'll talk about it. And his
Yeah.
wife is like, wow, you surprised me. And he's like, well,
Yeah,
he
after
only
all
has,
these years.
he only
Yeah.
has so much time left. He should use that time doing what he loves.
Right. Yep.
And that's true. Like, if you knew the fucking, like, end date for sure of your
Right.
world, why would you care whether your son stays in school or, like, goes after his passion? He says, you know, like, his true passion is making music. Who am I to stand in his way?
Yeah. It's such a big it's such a big question, right? Like you said, like if we all knew when we were gonna die, like the world would be totally different, because we would all just be like, well, I'm not gonna do that, that's dumb. And then we would like work within those bounds of the world where like people are all on the same page, like, which we all should be, like we all are going to die.
Yeah, we
right?
all have a fucking expiration date.
Except
They're just
for me.
different ones.
I made a deal with the devil, I'm never gonna die.
Yeah, the devil's real good at keeping his deals, I hear.
Yeah, he's my best friend, Jeff.
That's what they all say, Josh.
We listen to Van Halen.
No, you don't.
Running with the devil.
The devil hates that song.
It's about him. He loves it.
He hates it. It gets it all wrong.
I never said that.
The song says he's 5'10", but he's really 5'11".
He's really 16'12".
Anyway, so the next day, Kamen goes to talk to that government administrator from the beginning of the episode, who's like also in weird old man makeup.
He's like I'm old.
And he's
I think he
like-
even says that. He's like, I'm fucking old.
It's the first line he says.
Yeah,
Kamen's
we're like,
hey, administrator, and he's like, I'm fucking old.
Leave me alone. I'm old.
But he's like, this planet's not gonna last much longer, you know? Like, all of my
Yeah.
findings point out that, like, we're done.
Yeah, that's it.
And he's like, our scientists came to that conclusion 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's like, shut. He like pulls him off to the side. He's like, yes, we know. Like, we knew about this. And Picard's like, what the fuck, man?
And he's like, what would you have us do? Just tell people that they're all gonna die soon?
Yeah, it sucks, dude. Holy fuck, it sucks.
And Cayman's like, well, we need to do like an evacuation, even like a couple people. Like, we have to do something.
He's like, what are we gonna do? We only started shooting missiles into space, right? Like, which is perfect. Like, because that's like all you would need is just a small rocket for the probe, right? So like they can do that. But he's like, genetic samples, and he's like, no, like.
He's like, look, we have a plan in motion that some piece of our civilization will be preserved, but that's all I can tell you because you're old and gonna die soon anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, dude, it's
But then like a super fucking sad part happens because his son Bataille shows up and he's like, Dad, something's wrong with Mom. You have to come. Yeah. And he shows up and she's like dying of old age.
Yeah, she's old as fuck and dying.
And he like stays with her and like she throughout the whole episode she's had to put his shoes away and she's gotten like annoyed by it.
Yeah.
So the last thing she says is that he has to put his shoes away himself now.
It's fucking so devastating.
Yeah,
holy shit.
It really is. And like he just like crumples into her after she dies. It's fucking sad as fuck.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. Like, it's fucked up.
Because, I mean, you're thinking about this from, like, Picard's point of view. Like, he's Cayman right now or whatever, but, like, for, I don't know, 20 years of his
50
life?
years? It's gotta be more than that. It's gotta be, like, 30 years, right?
Yeah,
like
30, 40 years
30, 40 years, yeah.
He's loved this woman and raised a family with her, and she's dying in his arms.
Yeah, it's messed
like,
up,
holy
dude.
Fuck.
Yeah.
We flash forward again to years later, and Cayman is like ancient. He looks like the fucking crypt keeper with a fake nose.
He's a fucking mummy.
Yeah, and he's playing very awkwardly with his daughter's son.
I always think it's cute because he's like, do you know what to do with your sunscreen? Like, he's very grandfatherly and stuff.
True. It is cute. He just has such a voice. Like, his voice is so not made for that type of thing.
Yeah.
But when his son runs off, he says another devastating line where he's like, my grandson deserves a full life, but he'll never get it.
It's fucked up, dude.
And she's like, just come with me to the rocket launching. And he's like, I don't know anything about any rocket launching.
Rocket launch? What the fuck are you talking about, Maribel?
And she's like, just come with me. So they put on their sun hats.
Yeah, because you can't be out in the sun because the radiation will fucking murder you.
Yeah, so they wear like super sunscreen and hats.
SPF 9000.
And they all go out and sit down and they're like at the launching, and Cayman's like, what are they even launching? And Maribor looks at him, his daughter, and says, you know it, Father, you've already seen it.
Yeah, you've already seen it. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you talking about? I don't know anything about this. And he turns, and Bataille, his old friend Bataille, is sitting there as a young man. And he says, yes, you have, old friend, don't you remember?
Yeah.
You saw it before you came here. And he talks about like how like they put their hopes and dreams, their whole society, into that probe, hoping that somebody could teach the universe about them because everything else has been lost.
It's fucked up.
Picard says, it's me. I was the one that was supposed to find it.
It's true. He's like, it's true. He was like, it's true. It's fucking devastating. It's fucking devastating.
His wife shows up back in her youth with the family. Yeah. And she's like, we've all been gone 1,000 years. And we just want someone to remember who we were and what we were like.
Dude, it's crazy.
Like, Picard wakes up on the bridge of the Enterprise like nothing happened.
How would you go back to being... How would you do anything, man? Like, how would...
I'd just cry in my fucking quarters forever.
Yeah, I would just be like, alright, I'm gonna need a couple days off from this one.
And like... He's like, how long has it been? And Riker tells him it's been 25 minutes. And he goes, 25.
Yeah, like he can't believe how like he wasn't in it. Like it's not 50 years later, right? Like it's fucking
Jesus.
A half hour later.
So they bring the probe on board for study, and like Picard goes to the turbo lift with Crusher to go to sickbay, and he raises his hand to touch the old door mechanism he remembers from his home on Catan.
Yeah.
And he has to stop himself, and he kind of like draws his fingers back and drops his hand.
Dude, it's fucking heartbreaking.
Then the scene that always makes me tear up a little bit happened. You might remember that I'm a giant pussy who tears up at this scene.
You keep saying that, but I think you're just a human man.
I'm a human being.
A human being.
And, like, Picard is in his quarters. He's just standing in the dark.
He's just, like, dead, like 1,000 yards there. Like, it's just, like, fucking traumatized, right?
Riker shows up, and he's like, we found that the probe is completely shut down. Like, it was designed to go offline after it delivered its message. But we did find this inside the probe. Mm-hmm. Picard opens it, and he dismisses Riker, and it's the flute.
Yeah, you don't see it. Yeah.
It's Kamen. And the moment that always, like, I could feel it behind my eyes welling up is when he puts both hands on the flute and just clutches it to his chest.
Yeah, he, like, hugs it. It's fucking... Dude, it's, like, making me teary-eyed thinking about it. It's, like, ridiculous.
It's like he's lived this whole life, and he's left afterwards with this, like...
Yeah.
Was it real? Like, was any of that real? 50 plus years, 60 years.
Well, he's clutching, like, literally clutching onto anything.
And then he opens that box up, and there's a piece of it, a real piece. And he just holds it to his chest to prove it's real to himself.
It's so human. It's such a human thing. Like, just grasping at anything because it's like, you need to touch it. Like, just you need to feel it again, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
And he puts the flute to his mouth, and he plays the same song he played at his son's naming ceremony when he was Kamen. Yeah. And the episode ends.
It's so fucking good.
This episode is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It is a masterpiece of television, of fiction, of science fiction.
Yeah. Of emotions.
Yeah, this whole episode is nothing but emotions. It has every type of emotion you could possibly ever have in 1 hour-long episode. Like 45 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's 45 minutes exactly, I think is the time.
It's amazing. It is an amazing episode of television and the best episode of Star Trek ever.
I remember watching this the first time. Like, I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, holy fuck. Like, I was like 10 maybe when I saw it, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, it blew me apart. Like, I was like, holy shit. Like,
I was just, oh man, I was rocked to my core the first time I watched this episode.
Yeah, it fucks you up for a couple days, but it's like
I was
that
watching
bittersweet.
And I shut it off after it was done, and I just sat there in silence for a few minutes, like, wow.
Yeah, I still do that. I like have to like, whenever I watch this episode, I have to like go to the next one almost, because like I'm like I can't like wallow in it. You know what I mean? Like if you think about it too much, you'll like really start to get upset and like. Not like in a bad way, all way. Like I said, it's like bittersweet, right? You're like, oh my god, like it's so.
Like that life wasn't taken from him; it's still with him forever.
Yeah, it's his. Like it was his life. Like he lived that life, like in like a real sense. Like that was his life.
It's a strange gift in a way.
It's a curse and a gift.
He gets to live 2 lives, which is something that no man, woman, or child has ever been able to do before.
Yeah.
It's wild. I do have a John Larroquette fun fact.
Oh, I know what. I have one too. I hope it's not the same one.
Is it that Morgan Gendel named every episode of Star Trek that he wrote after a Beatles song?
I did read that one. I didn't. Yeah. I wasn't gonna say that though. But.
The Inner Light, Lady Madonna, Madonna. He wanted to name Starship Mine Revolution, but they wouldn't let him.
Yeah, they would have got sued.
Well, they'd already had an episode called Evolution, and they thought that was too close.
Too confusing. It's so
I thought that was a fun little thing, because I really like the Beatles. So.
Yeah, you like the Beatles a lot.
I went through a big Beatles phase like last year. It died off, but I still like the Beatles a lot.
I also like the Beatles too, but I not as much as you, I don't think. My fun fact is that the flute, they sold the flute at an auction at Sotheby's.
Yeah,
and it sold for $48,000.
Jesus Christ! Like I know
Which
they did
seems
like
cheap.
the It's a Wrap thing, where they auctioned everything off.
Yeah, 2006, right? That's what I'm looking at here.
Another fun fact: if you thought Cayman's son Bataille looked like Patrick Stewart quite a bit, it's because he's Patrick Stewart's actual son, Daniel.
Wait, Patrick Stewart has a son?
Yeah.
And his name's Daniel?
Yeah, Daniel Stewart.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Dude.
I thought Patrick Stewart was like Captain Picard. He didn't have any kids.
Nope, he has a wife and kids.
Well, he has a new wife now.
Yeah, he had a previous wife and kids.
Did he get divorced or did he die?
I think.
Did she die?
They divorced in 1990 after 24 years of marriage. They had a son and a daughter named Daniel and Sophia.
He doesn't look like... I mean, he has the same hair, which is none.
He has the same chin. He's got like a little butt chin.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't really look like him that much, though. I'm looking at... What's his daughter's name?
Sophia.
Sophia.
He had a second wife named Wendy Noose, who was a producer of Star Trek TNG. They were only married for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's married to some, like...
He's, I don't think he's married to... No, he got married in 2013.
He got married
McKellen
recently.
Was he performed the ceremony.
Yeah.
That's neat.
They're friends. They like each other.
They're the bestest buddies in the world, besides us, of course.
It's adorable.
People should care more about us being best friends, I think.
I mean, yeah.
We're much more famous.
Better actors.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just better at everything, really, so.
Picard's flute appeared in a deleted scene from Star Trek Nemesis. We're kind of like getting the bottom of the barrel here. What were your things?
Just the one that it sold for. I saw it and I was like, oh, I would love to have like a replica of it, right?
I would too. Especially if it worked.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably get someone to make it's like a recorder, right? It's just like a simple little flute. Like, you could probably get someone to make that for you.
Captain Picard flute. Let's see. Resican flute.
Yeah, the Resican flute, yeah.
Come on, fucking... Oh my god. What is... What? Etsy. Come on. Fucking make me a flute.
Nothing on Etsy?
Let me search.
You'd think on Etsy there would be.
Let me search Etsy.
Star Trek Resican flute.
Found it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
How much is it?
$69.
Nice.
It looks good though. It looks just like
Send me the link. I'm not gonna buy it, but I would.
No, I'm also not gonna buy it, but it is great.
I will
tweet the link out to the world.
Yeah, let me see.
And now you'll not know why I'm doing it now.
It's a mystery to everyone.
Picard's flute! 3 exclamation points.
The flute.
But you'll know later.
Latorb.
It's just, this episode is the best.
Yeah. It's too good.
Like, I can't think of a better episode of Star Trek. Like, there are episodes that can compete, but I don't think there are any that can trump it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easily the best episode of any Star Trek, right? Like,
oh yeah,
Darmok is also very, very good, but on an emotional level, like, Darmok's pretty sad and it's meaningful, but like on a purely human emotional base level, this episode is like the king, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I love this episode to death. It's like one of those. It's like a gem of television. Like if we would to send like a probe into space of television shows, this would be on it, like we did with that record, right? Like,
Could you imagine how confusing that would be to an alien race?
They'd probably get it. They'd probably be like, "Oh, I get it."
They'd be like, "What the fuck? Like, which one of these is the human world they're trying to tell us about?"
Do they have spaceships like this?
But we should probably not fuck with them. They got big old spaceships.
Let's not go there.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they never came here.
Maybe.
They solved this episode. That's
They definitely came here. What are you talking about? They're here right now.
Fucking Anunnaki, dude. Look it up.
Look it up. Look it up.
Planet X, dude. Look it up.
Planet X. This person also sells lightsabers. What did you do to me?
I've already sent you those, I think. They look exactly like the ones we were talking about last time.
They look... No, these aren't the ones. There's only one left of this one? Oh, God, I need it.
Dude, you better fucking buy it. Oh my God, it comes in the box. The fucking flute comes in the box.
Yeah. This one doesn't look that great, but I would get, like, some of these.
I don't have
$69,
everybody.
You can make $69, you know how?
69ing enough people?
Yeah. If you charge 69 cents per 69, you'd only have to 69 like 1,000 times.
Sign me up.
Wait, 100 times.
So, the flute solo that Cayman and Picard do was composed by Jay Chataway.
Jay Chataway,
who composed all the music for this episode. He expanded that piece into a 6-minute orchestral suite for the Best of Star Trek Volume 1, and you can find that on YouTube. That I've talked before about the Inner Light Suite as being my favorite music from Star Trek.
Suite, S-U-I-T-E, not S-W-E-E-T.
Even though it is very sweet.
It is sweet, though.
Just look that up, put your headphones on, chill the fuck out. It's beautiful.
Yeah, get sad. Feel real sad about the music you're
Feel sad about the life you lived, be it like the regular life, but also the one you lived on Catan.
Yeah, because you got to see how they lived, and you're the only one. What a fucking mindfuck, though, too. Like, there's so much shit going on with that. Like, you're the only one in the universe who knows what that was like. Like, that'll fuck your day up. Yeah. That alone.
Like, who do you talk? You can't talk to anybody about that.
Yeah.
Like, if you talk about the ramifications of that with, like, Troy, what's she gonna say? Yeah, I know what you're going through. No, you don't.
Yeah, I totally get it, right? Like, yeah, do you? Oh, you can get the necklace for $33. Fuck.
Oh, shit. That's cool as fuck. I don't wear necklaces, though.
Well, you might start. There's a couple of them here. Wow, there's a lot of them.
A little bit of a note on the Memory Alpha fandom wiki. A great place to steal all your information for your podcast you're going to do, by the way.
Yeah.
There is a little note that Picard only practices the melody of Frere Jacques before he accepts the identity as Cayman.
Yeah, because he's still playing Earth music, right?
It's a French song, because he's French. And he sang it earlier with the kids in the turbo lift during the episode Disaster.
Yeah, they're freaking out, and he's like, let's sing this stupid song. And they're like, oh my God, I hate Ferris.
I so love the fact that Daniel Stewart, Patrick Stewart's son, plays Cayman's son. That's fucking amazing.
I didn't know. I never knew that. I didn't know that.
That's your John Larroquette fun fact of the week.
How interesting.
I can't praise this episode enough. I feel like I've been sucking the dick right off this episode, but like, I've waited the entirety of M-Class Podcast to get to this episode, and it was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I could watch this episode like every day, honestly. Like, yeah. There's nothing wrong with this one.
It's one of those episodes that really puts you in the position of the main character. You automatically think, like, what would that even do to me if that happened to me?
Yeah, it would mess me up for the rest of my life. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'm no Picard. I would fuck me up forever.
But Picard's been, like you said earlier, Picard's been through the board. Like, this guy has, like, seen so much shit, right? Like, and he just gets, like, better and better for it. And, like, maybe living in that time that they live in human beings are better able to like remove their ego from like the problems that they run into. Like they're not victims, right? Like they're experiencing like these events like objectively in a lot of ways. Maybe that helps them, but like this is so subjective for him. Like I think this in a lot of ways, like as like traumatizing as the Borg was, like you could argue this is probably just as traumatizing.
It's true.
He gets to live a life though, which is nice. Like he's not a slave, so like that's better. But like the sadness, like he like loved his wife and she's dead. Like he had a life.
She's been dead for 1,000 years, and she would have no idea who he is.
It just fucks with you, man. It just totally fucks with you.
I talked earlier about how they don't touch on this again with any sort of heavy hand, but they do touch on it in the episode Lessons from season 6, which is where Picard falls in love with one of his subordinates.
Yeah, the commander, captain, or commander science lady.
Lieutenant commander.
Sorry.
Darren.
Well, yeah. Darren.
And she's like super strong-willed, which is absolutely his type.
Yeah.
He can't deal with having to order her into dangerous situations, so he has to break it off. But he mentions being married before, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "It'd be very difficult to explain."
Yeah. It's funny.
He mentions that's the last time he was in love, like he ever felt love.
Yeah.
It's just, there are far-reaching ramifications for Picard, but it's not like he had his guts pulled out and robot shit put in. So
yeah, it's again, it's like it's just like he lived a life and it's gone. It's not like he was a cyborg.
I'm just like dick sucking the shit out of this episode. I love it. I love it.
I don't know. I think if you watched it, you probably felt the same way. Everyone. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say because like I don't know what I can say.
That's true. This episode probably felt very fast for everybody, and it might be kept fairly short because we blew through it. The whole episode, you're like amped for what's going to happen next. You want to know. You want to find out more. And I feel like that comes through in this episode as well. Like, we blew through it because we wanted to know more, even though we already knew it.
Well, we already know the end, and, like, the end is, like, such a good payoff. Like, it's such an emotional payoff that, like, when you watch it, it's like edging, right? You're just edging yourself toward this end. And the end is great because you're like, I know the end. I know what happens, right? Like, I get it.
Still hits me like a ton of bricks when he holds that flute to his chest.
I wonder if Cameron Crowe, like, didn't take a lot from this episode. Because Vanilla Sky is very similar to this in a lot of ways. Vanilla Sky is, like, super heavy-handed Cameron Crowe writing where he's, like up his own butt the whole time.
You're selling this movie really well.
It's a good movie. It's Tom Cruise is in it, and it like that's a detriment to the movie in my opinion.
Tom Cruise is not a very good actor.
But like science fiction wise, like it's very good, and it's very similar to this. Like,
do you think
the payoff is similar?
Do you think Tom Cruise likes sci-fi? He's in a lot of sci-fi movies.
I think Tom Cruise likes Tom Cruise.
Well, of course he does. But I mean, he keeps choosing Tom Cruise to be in sci-fi movies.
Yeah, because, well, you know why, right? I mean, you know why. Because Xenu.
Because Xenu, yeah.
Yeah, because Xenu, yeah. That's
Xenu's not in the sci-fi movies he's in, though. He wasn't in Battlefield.
No, but maybe the aliens he's in the movies with are they know Xenu.
I guess he has to love sci-fi because it's his religion.
He's not in Battlefield Earth. That's John Travolta.
I said he wasn't in Battlefield Earth.
Oh yeah, because Battlefield Earth is the Scientology. Yeah,
he has to love science fiction because it's his religion.
Yeah, well it's every religion.
You know, there is that, Josh. There is that.
It's every religion.
Although most other religions are fantasy.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess they're sci-fi in the sense that they take place on Earth. And Earth is in space. Right?
I'm glad that Josh isn't, like, in charge of what's considered sci-fi. Look, Earth is in space, dude!
Well, there's, like, the Vedic shit from, India, where there's, like, spaceships flying around and shit.
That sounds awesome. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like crazy sci-fi shit in history, like ancient aliens, man.
They're real. Anunnaki, dude, look it up.
Let me go as Xenu if they're real. He's my new god.
Xenu. Let me ask. Do you pray
I gotta get my.
Xenu?
Yeah, I mean my Thetans have to go into the volcano, right? So
Thetans are bad, right? Like you got to get rid of Thetans.
yeah, you don't want a lot of Thetans. That's bad because they're like the ghosts of the people who died in the volcano or something like that.
That's a really big volcano.
I mean, volcanoes are pretty big.
Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody who tuned into this very special episode of M Class Podcast. Title this Jeff's favorite episode of M Class Podcast.
That's it. That's the name of it. We're not even going to do the name of the episode of the show that it is.
That's the subtitle. It's M Class Podcast, The Inner Light, a.k.a. Jeff's favorite episode of the podcast.
Colon Revengeance.
Fuck yeah. Thanks for listening to this. Like, if it wasn't for... I was going to say if it wasn't for you guys listening, we wouldn't have made it to this point, but we would have done it anyway.
We'll do whatever we want, goddammit.
Like, I would have done this podcast even if nobody listened. It's just an excuse to hang out with Josh and talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the Trek. That's how I say it. The Trek.
Because he's super fucking cool.
Yeah, the Trek.
Definitely not lame as hell.
Definitely the coolest guy, not a dork.
Thanks
This cat is trying to move. I can't get near the microphone because this cat. Okay, I'm coming back.
He's back, everybody. Just in time to say goodnight.
Bye!
And we'll be back in 1 week with more M-Class goodness.
Later, nerds.
Bye, dorks.
Yeah.
I'm mentally ill.